birth rate is around 1.6 children per woman. That might not sound like anything special, but it's well below the minimum total fertility rate, or TFR, of 2.1, the average needed to maintain a steady replacement rate. I'm sure many people here are planning on starting a family or already have one, so it's important to see how life and social norms have changed over time. As someone who's always been on the fence about having children, the low birth rate talked about in the news grabbed my attention and made me wonder why it was so low. It also made me wonder why so many were just planning on going child-free. To try and find some answers, I've gathered information from many different sources and try and reach a conclusion. The birth rate has been declining steadily over many years because of many financial and social reasons. To show this, my main points are what the birth rate is and how I think it's used, the link between inflation and the declining birth rate, and the pros and cons of the low birth rate. First of all, what even is the birth rate? Well, the birth rate is a statistic used for various reasons. It is the average number of children per woman required to maintain a stable population size. The birth rate is then calculated by dividing the total number of live births in a year by the estimated mid-year population. It's then multiplied by 1,000 to find a statistic representing the number of births per 1,000 women. This is known as the crude birth rate. In Susan Nokio's June 1st, 2017 article titled Low Fertility in Japan, No End in Sight, Japan experienced a steep drop in the fertility rate from 1947 to 1957, from a TFR of 4.5 children to a woman as low as just 2. The TFR continued to decline. Now, after 2000, Japan's TFR is between 1.3 and 1.4. Because of this, in 2017, 27% of Japan's population was age 65 or older, and this share was projected to increase with time. The birth rate helps project future population shifts as well. Population projections are estimates of the population for over a time period. They're usually calculated by using estimations of future deaths, births, and domestic and immigration. The birth rate is used to help better allocate our limited resources. This can help predict the decline and better prepare the population for it. As Brian Lipinski and his colleagues state in the article titled Achieving Replacement Low Fertility from August 17th, 2013, this projected increase in population poses a food security challenge for the people in sub-Saharan Africa. This is an example of how a birth rate that is too high can prevent poverty from being stopped and can hinder societal development. Now that we've covered what the birth rate is and how it's used and what it's used for, let's move on to the link between inflation and the declining birth rate. Unexpected inflation significantly reduces the birth rate. In the article by Ahmed Ades and Claire Piano from April 2nd, 2026 article about population projections, it states that unexpected inflation had a negative and significant impact on the total fertility rate in the United States from 2004 to 2023. Specifically, a 5 percentage point increase in unexpected inflation results in 15 to 25 fewer births per 1,000 reproductive age women. As you can see, even a small change in unexpected inflation can significantly raise or lower births. During stable inflation periods from 2004 to 2019, inflation averaged just 1.9%, and unexpected inflation was at a little negative 0.07%. The total fertility rate was comparatively higher, sitting at about 1.94 children per woman. In 2020 through 2023, however, inflation averaged 4.52%, and unexpected inflation was at 1.13%. The average fertility rate fell by about 15% during this time period to 1.66 children per woman, indicating a strong correlation between unexpected inflation and total fertility. Inflation also causes people to delay having children as it increases financial pressure and uncertainty. Rises in inflation and unexpected inflation reduce purchasing power that family households have by a significant margin. This can make it a lot harder to afford the cost of raising a child for a common household, and as a result may cause some to refrain from childbirth. From Mohammed Adest and Prairie Piano, Inflation and Fertility in the United States, Insights from New Research from July 27, 2026, it states that unexpected inflation erodes purchasing power and increases uncertainty about future economic conditions. Now that we have inflation out of the way, let's move on to the positives and negatives that come with the spikes and dips in the total fertility rate. The low fertility rates can both have positive and negative effects. A low birth rate can improve food security. When there's fewer children to feed, it's easier for governments to allocate their resources and help the food demands of their population. This can reduce the risk of food shortages and ease pressure on agricultural production, allowing for more crops and food to be made. This also then helps with deforestation and the use of harmful pesticides. Natural wildlife can also be preserved through this, as it stops destroying their habitat, and it can help create a more biodiverse ecosystem. The economy as well benefits from a low birth rate. With fewer children to care for per family, parents can invest more in the certain child's education and well-being. This can help create a more skilled and well-educated environment for the future, and then that contributes to the economy as well. Governments will not be required to contribute as much of their budget to individual children, and then the costs that could go to the children would then go to helping with infrastructure, economic growth, and development, and creating opportunities and healthcare for all people and age groups. As a birth rate below replacement level, however, can also cause long-term population challenges. When fewer children are born, the proportion of elderly retirees increases by comparison, and then leaves fewer working age adults left to support them through taxes and pension systems. This can also leave a gap in the workforce with too few young adults and way too many pension years to accommodate for it. This may also leave key industries unattended for and sacrifices innovation. With a lower birth rate, the government will be forced to reform the retirement system around an older population. This could include raising the retirement age or changing Social Security policies and requiring people to stay in the workforce for a much longer time. In summary, there are many reasons that the birth rate is what it is. The birth rate has been declining steadily over many years because of many financial and social factors. The birth rate helps predict future events, declines due to unexpected inflation, and there are many different pros and cons to our low birth rate that we have currently. As the birth rate shifts and declines, the world will have to adapt to new demographic realities. The stability of the economy and our communities will have to change, as well as we.